please.
That's up to Fred, and I don't think he's going to treat people that nicely. But wow, actually not a bad start screen for either runner. Because both of them do use screen scrolling, we will see them wrap around the river here and head over towards our first item. Armos on in the grave area.
Yeah, quick Armos check, then we'll probably jump down to the vanilla blue ring Armos as well. Actually, that's different in vanilla and Second Quest Overworld, sorry.
Absolutely, and we do get our take any roads really early, and one leads us to the northeast, so that's actually pretty good. Fred's gonna check it out. Now, what they're checking for is an open cave which may contain the wood sword, which is going to be, of course, their main method of combat. Now, sword is required to beat the game in some way, only because you need to stab Ganon with it. They'll also be looking for this Armos item because it is a free item for them to utilize, especially if it's something good like the wand, the white sword, or perhaps a ring or an any key.
So we are playing with a full Second Quest Overworld here, so that makes money a little bit more strapped. We're only going to be looking for one large secret now, instead of two. And that's our bow for our Armos item. That's a nice pickup.
Yeah, the bow's really good. Bow and silver arrows are the two items that are, in addition to the sword, that are always going to be required to beat a seed. Now, as you were saying, there is only one large secret, but it is still shuffled between those 50 and 150 rupees. So if it's low, we might see a really cash-strapped seed. With an early bow, I think the runners may consider looking into buying arrows early, just for an additional method of combat. Now, something else the runners will be looking for that's a lot more important in Second Quest Overworld is the recorder and the power bracelet, and that is because there are a lot more screens on the overworld in which those two items will open up caves. The power bracelet, I believe, has 3 additional spots, and the recorder has a total of 8 spots on the overworld where it will be useful.
Yeah, so those are two definitely must-get items at this point in the tournament. That second quest opens up so many more spots for them to get. And your typical burn bushes and bomb hole is going to be slightly different too. The ladder is going to be maybe a little more prevalent because there's a couple of bomb spots that you can only reach by laddering over.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more resource intensive this time around just because of all the additional spots that need items to reach. So both runners will be definitely taking a little bit more in the dungeons for those items.
And unfortunately, Fred running a little bit of foul of the Lionels on the overworld here. Not the friendliest overworld.
No, definitely not. And Fred is going to avoid that Armos item for right now. Is able to pick up a blue candle here from this gift shop, which he burns the disappearing person. So that didn't really do anything. But he is going to check out these Armos. Now, he has to be careful because hitting one of these Armoses will kill him. And Paratroopa finds a sword. And that is actually, well, at its vanilla spot.
That's not randomized.
And we do see there is nothing underneath that Armos, just a door repair. So Fred will continue on. Now we'll see if he makes his way towards the dead woods with a candle in tow, or if he heads over towards the start, which we also see our lone large secret is over there. And at least it's nice because it's 143 rupees.
Yeah, that's absolutely a beautiful large secret to find. It is our only one, though, so gotta watch your money very carefully.
Now, Fred, luckily, since he is over in this area, he does heal up. Now, you will see when he gets down to level 3 after burning this buff. Well, he finds level 1, so he's going to actually search a little bit here. Now, he doesn't have his sword, but searching level 1 can still be advantageous because there is going to be a drop on the ground as well as one in the staircase, and level 1 is relatively small, so it is definitely not a bad thing to dig a little bit, especially when you get Oh, name that ink blot.
That looks like kind of like a skeleton key. But more importantly, there's dark nuts there, so level 1 is done for now.
Yeah, especially with the key block there. Fred isn't going to spend his only key trying to get past those dark nuts in that NSU room. So he is going to actually duck out and head back over towards Start, where he's going to find his large secret and his sword.
Now, once he gets his sword, do you think he's going to go straight back to 1?
I think he does. He does have the key, so he knows he can get past there. Now, unfortunately, level 1 is usually key heavy, so or key need heavy, so he may not be able to pass that one screen, but at least he'll be able to combat his way through level 1 a little bit better. So we may see him duck back in just to try to get one of those items early out of there.
Now, what Fred's going to try to do now is kill that first enemy that is in the bomb dropping group to try to get a 0 count on his bombs. And Paratroopa1 level 2, the other good level to find early, because it does have that one free item just hanging out on the ground.
Yeah, and level 2 tends to be more bomb wall heavy than key door heavy. But another thing to remember is we do have second quest doors on, so in a lot of our levels, you'll see runners just walking into walls, and what they're seeing is if they can pass through. Now, there are 3 levels where you won't see any walk through walls, and those are levels 1, 3, and 7. But for the most part, our runners will stick to that. And Fred is passing up arrows at this current juncture.
Interesting call. There are a few more medium secrets. We haven't seen a single medium, so it could be hopefully on the higher side. We see a lot of bunnies in the overworld, though, so arrows could help them clear those a bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, the 2 large secrets that are removed are not replaced with medium secrets, they're replaced with small. So you have 6 small, 7 medium, and 1 large. And you also have 1 more door repair. So money is a little bit more at a premium. But I think both of our runners will be able to deal. Both are very, very well accustomed to Randomizer and knowing what they need. So I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, especially with how big the large secret was.
So we have very beefy gorillas.
Yeah, I always make the joke that anytime you shuffle enemy HP, the blue gorillas are always going to take the most HP available. So they'll always be a pain to get rid of, and that can be really dangerous just because gorillas have that tendency to snipe. Ropes are also a bad one, and we see these ropes have 4 HP, which is very annoying because they bounce, and that can really throw you off if you're not expecting it.
Yeah, the blue gorillas had 10. And Fred found level 7 down on the lower west side.
And speaking of ropes, we see the old man saying, "Why did it have to be ropes?" That is the other flag that has changed for these Elite 8 rounds, and that is we no longer have helpful hints at all. It's all community. So you get to enjoy some pretty humorous hints from the old man, but our runners are going to be relying completely off their routing abilities and their wits.
And being the creator of the randomizer might give Fred a little bit of an edge as far as that goes, just knowing how it works. Kind of behind the scenes a bit.
Yeah, he's always the first one humble enough to tell you that him creating it makes no difference. He's always afraid of people when he matches up against them. So he never takes his opponents lightly, no matter who it is.
Oh no, absolutely not. Fred's one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet, for sure.
And there on Paratroopa side, we see the absolute horror that is blue gorillas, especially when the red gorillas are really, really squishy.
I love squishy red gorillas just because they drop bombs.
And we do have slightly powered up keys too. They take 2 hits to take down, so not really the friendliest in the world, but
So these sprites that you're seeing on Fred's side that look kind of like Link in a bikini, those are actually going to be Gibdo.
Yeah, since Fred is running as a gift of himself, that sprite, whenever you run as an enemy sprite, that sprite will be replaced with Link on the baddie side. And also at the end of the game, you'll notice a slight difference as well. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll see that in probably about 50 minutes or so.
If the seed's nice. And level 3 on Paratroopa side. So we have a Game Boy colored level and a Virtual Boy colored level going on right now.
Paratroopa finding all the early dungeons.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we saw Paratroopa step into a stairwell and it went somewhere else in the level. Well, in levels 1 through 4, that means that these dungeons are segmented when you see that. But he does find another staircase, so this could very well be the item, but it's not. We're double segmented in level 3.
Fred grabbing the Triforce in 7. So nice pickup for him. 7's one of those bigger dungeons that you don't want to have to dig, so he might come back here later on.
Yeah, my guess is how Fred normally plays is on the bigger levels. Unless he comes across the item in his exploration, he will elect to come back later. And it looks like he is diving back into level 1. Now that he has 3 keys, he feels a lot more comfortable that he will not be key locked at all.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see exactly how much HP these Dark Nuts have here, though. Gotta be really careful in this room. This is a rather treacherous room with Dark Nuts.
Especially because the movement pattern of Dark Nuts, it's really random. Either they'll choose to home in on Link, or they'll choose just to go in a random direction. And trying to work around them and everything is really a pain. What Fred is actually trying to do is he's trying to rush up really quickly and clip into the water to fight the Dark Nuts, which is actually a really good move if he can get the clip quickly. Unfortunately, he can't, and well, those Dark Nuts are at the very least normal, and while we see our White Sword item, that's another good item to have out on the overworld.
Yeah, so we had a free boat and we had a free ladder, so we're gonna have to come back between with 4 to 6 hearts to pick that up.
Yeah, and we see that 4 hearts wasn't enough, so either 5 or 6, but that will also give him access to the free coast item, so hopefully that is something good for the runners as well.
Fred did get that clip down, so he is now in the water, so he is safe from the Dark Nuts.
Yeah, and it's especially good because, well, he had beam swords, so that made it a lot easier. And then he gets a pack of bombs, so he used a bomb on one, and then got a clock, and, well, everything's nice, and also a raft.
There is only one more raft spot open, so the raft probably wasn't what you wanted to see. Oh, hello, Stalfos that shoot beams.
Yeah, now, while Stalfos are normally pretty harmless, only doing a half heart of damage when you touch them, those beams do the same amount as Lionel beams, so the Stalfos can hurt you very, very quickly.
And of course, the Triforce is in the farthest part away from the map.
And Paratroopa making a very interesting play with the limited amount of money they have, and he actually purchases a key.
Now, Fred is in the item room here with a horde of blue Dark Nuts. Gonna use that clip again. May want to clip on the center one, though, instead of the top corner there.
Yeah, and he does. Having the beam sword definitely helps in these rooms when you're choosing to do this. And Para taking another death on the overworld, so he will be going back over to where they started. Now, Fred has to be careful because he did clip out of that block, so he was actually in harm's way. But making actually really good... holding my breath while he's chasing that fairy, but he did really well with those blue Dark Nuts, but unfortunately does not lead to anything. Para getting another heart from his take any, so up in Death Mountain now, we won't see him make a beeline for that ladder, but he will be checking it before long.
Now, Fred does grab a heart, so once he comes across that cave, he can actually check for the magical ladder. He won't be able, he might not be able to pick it up yet, but at least he'll have the extra heart. He gets closer to that goal of picking that up.
Yeah, we know he won't be able to pick it up right now just because it is. Para already checked out 4 hearts. Now Fred is just going to abandon getting that key and comes across another potential item room. So we'll see if this is definitely it. These Zols are a lot easier to deal with than the blue darkness. And here's our item.
Red candle. Nice to have early.
Yeah, getting it early isn't bad. Now Fred would have preferred to get that before he took the blue candle out of the gift shop. But regardless, I mean, still good nonetheless. And well, actually, never mind, because you can't even get in here without a candle. So kind of a moot point.
Not sure what Fred's looking for now, unless he's looking for more keys.
Yeah, definitely looking for keys here. Only having one and knowing there's a lot of drop potential in these rooms. And we're going to see that a lot from Fred. Burning and everything else, so.
Yeah, Fred is one that likes to show his displeasure at hints that he does not like.
Now that's an oddity in level 1. The fact that he can't bomb north into a room. There are a few rooms that for some reason do take that kind of that nature to them, and I don't know the exact reasoning behind it, but there is a reason behind it, and I think Fred does understand that. But yeah, there are a few that it just won't happen, and 5 hearts is enough for the ladder. And actually, thinking back to it, it might have something to do with the fact that second quest rooms are on, even though you can't walk through a wall in one. I think that may have something to do with it. As I said, we can ask Fred later.
Fred's going to scroll over and check out the grave section now. He is going away from levels 2 and 3, but it won't be long until he checks that section.
Now, Paratroopa dying on the area where Vanilla level 7 is in second quest. Very hard screen to navigate with enemies on it, just because they like to get in your way while you're trying to make that clip to burn the bush. So definitely one of the harder screens to navigate. And Dark, I don't know if you remember during the Random Percent tournament, but during that tournament, we did have a period of time where we had a huge amount of rope movie puns going on in chat, and well, it seems like we're back there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Fred discovering his third small secret. I still don't know if we found a medium secret yet. And Fred gonna discover level 2 as well.
And the lovely joy of super ropes. And Paratroopa comes across 1.
Fred using his red candle very efficiently on these Gyptos. I don't know why they're not weak to him. You'd think that their claws would burn a lot easier, but the red candle is still really nice because it does help trap them in a loop, especially when they're trying to continuously walk forward. So it does rack up the damage really quickly.
Yeah, it always amused me that bunnies die to 1 hit to the arrow, yet mummies don't have a native weakness to fire.
Fred making nice use of that bomb to not only open the bomb wall, but once he knocked the rope back, to kill the rope as well.
Fred checked to see if he can walk through that door.
And this is not Yoho. The seizure snakes. In second quest, what we deem super ropes come into play, which have typically more HP, and they're notated by their blinking status. Paratroopa coming across the candle here. So the fact that they blink, they just normally have a slightly higher HP, and with the HP shuffle on, it can get even worse. But they just like to bounce, which can sort of throw you off.
So this is the room that Paratroopa kind of noped out of, and with his red candle, Fred's handling it a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely still have to keep your distance and be careful not to fire when the gorillas do. But having a little distance and not having to swing your sword and get sniped because they're very quick at releasing their boomerangs is actually really nice.
Now, gorillas are susceptible to the half-tile glitch that he's using now, where if you stand one tile to their right-hand side, the gorilla cannot hit you.
Absolutely, and I think that Goma might actually be guarding something in this level.
It's possible, unless the item's still one more room to the right here. Could be heart guarding our heart container, though.
And Paratroopa did grab the Triforce out of one, so he is going to continue on somewhere else. Fred getting the prize bombs out of that harmless blue bubble room.
Fred's gonna grab his Triforce and run from 2.
At this point, I think he's assuming that the item is behind that Goma there, so he may purchase arrows and come back, but or he's actually just gonna go back in and dive right away. So we'll see if he finds anything more. And Paratroopa making his way across the bottom portion, so he's gonna find level 7 here.
Yeah, kind of doing a little bit of dungeon swap of what the other one has checked already.
Yeah, we'll see if Paratroopa decides to dig here in level 7, unlike Fred. Fred does get the heart container.
That does get him his ladder also.
Yes, once he finds it over in the force. He has not seen it yet. And Paratroopa, unfortunately, taken aback by the red bubbles, so he will not be able to use his sword. Luckily, he does have the candle, which will help him in combat against things like the red gorillas and Keese. As long as he doesn't find Dark Nuts or White Strokes, he's fine.
So one thing of note about these red bubbles is they'll take your sword away until you get either a Triforce or until you get to a fairy fountain. Or until you hit a blue bubble. That's the only way you'll be able to get your sword back. So you kind of want to avoid red bubbles at all costs.
There is one additional way, and it is one of the reasons that you saw Fred pick up the potion earlier. You can actually use a red or a blue potion, and it will allow you to regain your sword that way. A lot of runners will buy potions just for that purpose, and Fred does pick up arrows, so we may see him go back to 2 once he checks Candle Row here.
Might be a little bit delayed by finding level 3, but he'll probably be a little too long from getting that.
And Cyclone, I believe with Fred's sanity checks, that if a level has red bubbles, it will automatically have blue bubbles. Just the blue bubbles may not always be easily accessible.
They could be in one room tucked in the very bottom of the map, for example. So Fred is going to look around level 3. Paratroopa was here earlier. I don't know why he left with the Triforce. I did not catch it. And that's a map for 7. Look at that thing.
Level 3s isn't better, but we're quad segmented in level 3. And that may have been why Para left, is he just didn't feel like dealing with all the segments of level 3.
And it has wizards, which are no fun at all.
No. Also, one other thing from looking at this level 7, something that Para can pretty safely guess would be that level 8 is going to be segmented in some way.
Yeah, level 7 8 will share the same spot on a grid. That's probably why Para left its ladder blocked. So the maps of level 7 8 are kind of going to be inverses of each other. Yeah, Fred can go down and around, so that's gonna be our bait block. But you can actually just walk around it.
Yeah, the only time bait block blocks anything is, well, if you're trying to walk up.
Yeah, so more often than that, bait is actually kind of useless until it's actually useful, which isn't often.
And possibly the rupee boss here, well, no, he's just guarding a heart. So Fred is guaranteed his ladder in his mind now, even though we knew 5 hearts was enough. But the item is actually possibly in this Triforce room. We'll see if it's transporter or not. No, it is the item, and it is the Tutti Flute. So Fred has access to 8 additional spots on the overworld now.
Yeah, that's actually a huge item to get. It also lets him go back to previously cleared dungeons, so if he needs that item in level 7, he can just go right back there now.
Absolutely. I would say that in Second Quest Overworld, Quarter probably jumps up 5 or 6 spots on my item importance. And well, look at that coast item.
There is our white sword, so that's going to double Paratroopa's damage.
Yeah, and I would imagine with where the ladder is located, it will actually not take Fred nearly as long to get his white sword as it did Paratroopa, because Fred will probably route his way over to that item once he gets his ladder. And there we did have Fred whistle to level 2. He's going to go back in and kill this Goma.
Yeah, I think logically that Goma should have something. If not, it's going to be behind a bomb wall. So hopefully that this Goma will have either the map, so we can see what that bomb wall is, or the item itself.
And there we see one of the hint shops, and well, normally you would want to buy them, but you notice that the prices weren't even shuffled. That's because, well, they're all community hints. And Paratroopa finding level 5. And look at that, the any key for Fred.
So going from 2 keys up to infinite keys, definitely a huge pickup on Fred's side. So with his newly acquired 2D flute, he's going to the desert spot. This is where you're going to start seeing the flute come in handy. So in Quest 1, there's nothing here. In 2, now there's magical staircase.
And our 4th small secret, still no mediums. Now there are 3 total spots here in the desert, so a lot of quick exploration for spots here. So we'll see Fred go in here and then probably check the last one as well before heading into the forest. And actually going to check out the desert shop first. And apparently we did see a medium secret, and it's 29. So not that great. So they'll definitely have to be a little considerate of where they spend their money. So Fred's going to check out this final desert spot, and then I assume he's going to be checking the forest, and he will find his ladder.
So one thing of note, as you said earlier, that Paratroopa had spent money on a key. Now that Fred has the any key, he doesn't have to worry about doing that. So money resource management is going to come into play now.
Absolutely, and we noticed that Para, even though he spent money, and at the time it wasn't horrible because he only had 1 key, now at 7 keys, definitely did not need it. And if he does decide to go back to 2, maybe if he's still looking for silvers later on, he's going to take a lot of time to dive a level, and he's probably not going to be too pleased with getting the key at the end there.
Fred's going to bum along the coast and loop up to grab his white sword off the ladder there.
Absolutely, and white sword is showing to be more and more useful just because of how many enemies are actually on the higher end of the HP spectrum so far. Other than red Gurias, I haven't really seen anything that's been too friendly HP-wise. And Fred grabbing his white sword at this point, so his damage is now doubled, while Paratroopa is fighting some Moltorms in level 5.
Interesting that Fred didn't go up and check that raft spot while he was right here.
He may elect to go back up there. He may have been, or he may wrap around after checking the middle here. I don't blame him for actually checking that recorder spot first, but then I may have wrapped around after checking the RAF spot and then headed back down through.
So, you see Paratroopa fighting these Lamolas. They can actually not hit you in that left-hand, right-hand door if you poke out just a bit. You gotta be just barely halfway out, so just barely enough to be able to use your sword, but it's kind of that same concept of why you can kind of cheese enemies that throw beams at you by staying on their right-hand side.
And Fred is now in level 5 as well, so we're going to have a little bit of high-fiving going on. Now, one other thing to note about Fred having recorder right now is we see Fred and Paratroopa pretty much exploring the same area of the forest. However, Fred is able to clear out all these recorder spots, whereas if Paratroopa is missing a level later, he's actually going to have to backtrack to a lot of areas where he's done a lot of navigating just to check these additional recorder spots. So it's going to be a little bit of double dipping to various areas of the map for Para, possibly.
Now, Paratroopa does have 8 keys. Those might dwindle quite a bit here, because we see 3 locked doors right away. Whereas Fred doesn't have that worry. Very smooth ladder clip there for Fred. Gotta dodge that. Ooh, gets sniped by Lionel. By Zelda, actually.
Yeah, those T-rooms are really difficult to fight enemies in, especially ones with projectiles like the Stalfos and the Lionels. You have to work a little bit to get around them, and Dark Nuts are also pretty nasty in that room, just because you're very tight in space to get around them.
It doesn't even help that you're kind of shuttered in either, so you really have nowhere to go.
And I think Fred just picked up his heart container out of 5.
He got that in the dark room that he had to, he died in.
Okay.
He just got a key, I want to say, over there. But yeah, he died in this room. This is the room that had the heart container in it.
Okay, and a very nice ladder clip there, so he's able to progress on. Gonna fight these Lamola.
Kind of squishy.
They're actually really nice to battle, so no big deal. And Paratroopa getting another key, so he's just he's quite alright with the keys right now. And finds the possible item room here.
It is the item, it is the power bracelet, so the other, I don't want to say must-have item, but more worth item in the second quest overworld.
Yeah, at this point, once Fred gets that, he will be silver arrows away from pure go mode, which is not bad when you have quite a few levels left to explore. So we'll see what they can do with that. And Paratroopa taking another unfortunate death.
Yeah, this 5 has been a thing. It hasn't been the friendliest of levels for sure. The enemy set in this seed has been kind of brutal as far as dungeons go. We have Dark Nuts, we have Garria, and we have Wizards underneath today. And relatively strong Gleox, and that's a Triforce in 5. Hopefully he'll go back in to get that power bracelet.
Yeah, the power bracelet is something that's extremely useful, but he is abandoning 5 right now. So we'll see if Paratroopa does find anything under those power bracelet spots, because that's going to definitely hurt Fred if there's something hidden beneath there. Instead, level 8 is under recorder level 2, so That's big because Pear's gonna actually have to come back here once he gets Recorder. So that might take him a little bit more time.
It is a good thing to note that even though we're playing with Second Quest Overworld, we are still playing with First Quest Dungeons, so it's still going to be 1 and 8 that have 2 items, 4 will still have just 1 item.
Fred getting trapped in this room, but it will not have a staircase because this door shuttered behind him, so we'll just open up that door. And wow, that is scary to run across that room with a half a heart on Parasite. Good job getting through. Now Fred does find a staircase. We'll see if it is an item or just a transport. Remember, we believe that level 8 is very likely segmented, so we'll see what happens here.
Now, Fred did just lose his sword, but there is a blue bubble floating around that he can go touch to get it back. But these red bubbles are going to be a little bit of annoying to get past.
Yeah, he's actually using the blue bubble as sort of a damage booster to get by them. Now, here he has Manhandla, which luckily is not one of the Superman handlers, and finds another staircase in this trap room, and it is an item, and it is the silver arrows. If Fred is not power bracelet blocked, Fred is in go mode, so we'll have to see where the location of level 4 and level 6 are, but that is potentially huge for Fred.
And considering we still have all of Death Mountain and we still have that one raft spot, there's the book, so he has both items here now.
Well, he doesn't have them because Fred chooses to remain illiterate and just stabs the book.
Can you blame him?
Maybe it's Tom Riddle's diary. And Fred just having so much trouble getting out of this room.
Now, Fred needs to remember there are walk-through walls on at this point, so he should be checking those as well.
Absolutely. Chooses to up and 8 instead. It's gonna check to see if that wall opens up to the north here. However, it does not. So, yeah, you'll start seeing him walk into some walls as well to try to get through.
Yeah, these turnstiles, at least it's at the bottom corner, so he knows that it's not going to help him too much.
Yeah, not much left to check, Fred, so you're going to have to continue walking into some walls here. Paratroopa taking another death up in the northeast there. Not too far away from where start is, but definitely not a place where you want to be taking deaths either, so it's gonna be interesting to see what he can do here. Looks like he's going towards White Sword. Oh, he's actually checking out the ladder caves.
This level 8 has been a thing.
Yeah, Fred just abandons it for now. He will have to come back here because he does still need the Triforce, but we'll be looking elsewhere, doing more exploration. As I said, we will see if any of these levels are behind any of the power bracelet locations. There's still quite a bit for Fred to explore before he gets to that point.
I think Fred was in a position where he kind of had to abandon it. He had no bombs under his belt. He's going to go buy a couple, though.
Yeah, 22 is a little on the expensive side, but with Fred having silver arrows now, kind of decent in hearts. I mean, he knows he's not gonna get up to enough for the blue ring anyway, so might as well use them on resources that can help him out immediately.
So Fred did just save, so what he might do is go to 8, bomb around, see what he can find. If he runs out of bombs again, he'll probably just retry and get his bombs back.
Absolutely. So when Fred goes up to Death Mountain, he'll be able to check one of the spots up there that is actually recorder block. As Para's exploring up there, he's actually going to be able to check the 2 power bracelet block spots. So that could come into play as well. Fred gets a medium secret, so his rupee count is very comfortable, so he will be able to spam arrows in some of these dungeons too.
Fred, unfortunately, taking a arrow to the knee.
And Para finding level 4 up here on Death Mountain. Unfortunately for him, it is not under the power bracelet location, so Fred will be able to find it fairly easily.
He is about to check another one, though. He unfortunately takes a death up in Death Mountain, though. He is close to the start, though, so that ladder will help him get back up there relatively quick.
Yeah, this overworld is just not being kind at all.
Unless you take a screen scroll and mix that screen a little bit more trivial.
Absolutely. So Fred already checked these 2 areas. He, I think, needs to go back up to that trap room to try walking into the walls, because I don't believe he did that. Pool's voice was just being the worst stuff it could be. And Paratroopa finding 6, and that is underneath the power bracelet spot, so Fred is going to have to dive back into 5.
So that's actually kind of huge for Paratroopa. And then Fred is back into 8 now, looking for where he has to go. There's the walkthrough wall.
Yeah, right into another staircase. Imagine that. Now, another interesting thing to note is, well, Recorder and Power Bracelet both required the seed.
I think that's going to be kind of coming to the trend of these Elite 8 flags, that you're going to be seeing those 2 items more and more required for sure.
And wow, this level 6. Lucky for Paratroopa, the compass and the map were both easily accessible, and also when he does finally get the recorder and finds level 8, he will also be able to find silver arrows fairly easy. Gets a heart out of level 6.
So Fred just got the compass in 8. That's actually kind of a huge find, especially with how big this level 8 is most likely going to be. It lets Fred go back to exactly where he has to go. It's just a matter of getting over there. Gonna take a transport and hope the transport gets him a little bit closer.
Yeah, with how level 7 was, you have to assume that he pretty much explored the... Well, that's just a
mean.
bad room to be dropped into.
That is just cruel game.
But yeah, that 6 was super fast for Paratroopa. Item, compass, map, Triforce, all super early.
Unfortunately, 3 hearts. Fred might have a little bit of trouble getting past those Limola.
Yeah, he may try working up a count just so he can force something, but yeah, those are just horrible to have to deal with. Paratroopa back and forth right now, doing some exploration here as well.
Good news for Fred, he's cleaned out 1, 2, 3. So 5 would be the next smallest level for him to dig, thankfully.
Yeah, he'll probably find level 4 before he even realizes that he needs to go back to level 5 for an item. Which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's not horrible to have to dig it, especially if the item in here is like the red ring or something. But the fact that he's going to have to backtrack to dungeon does not bode well for him.
CCX, the power bracelet was in level 5. and that you called it, the red ring was in 4, so that actually gives Fred a good item to dig through at least.
Yeah, and with that, we're about 45 minutes in, so I think it's a good time for an item recap while we have our runners going through these dungeons trying to get the Triforces now. Level 1 had the Raft and the Red Candle. Level 2 had the Magic Key. Level 3 had the Recorder. Level 4 has the Red Ring. Level 5 has the Power Bracelet. Level 6 has the Heart. Level 8 with the Book and the Silver Arrows. The White Sword item was the Ladder. The Armos item was the Bow. And the Coast item was the White Sword, meaning our 3 items at large in level 7 and level 9 are the Wand and both of our Boomerangs, and both runners getting Triforces at the same time.
And did you see what the Triforce Room in 8 was by chance, Grim? It was a thing.
I did not. I was actually reading off my notes, so
Okay.
I kind of missed that.
So Fred went into that Triforce Room on half a heart, and of course it's 2 blue and Lola.
Oh, geez. Algernon, it's kind of hard to say. Right now, on pure, like, what they have, Fred is definitely in the lead. However, Fred and Paratroopa are both going to have to re-dive into dungeons. Paratroopa has not completed level 3 yet, so he will have that slight advantage that he has to return there anyway. But they both have to go back into dungeons they've already done some exploration in to get an item to give them access to one of the dungeons.
And level 8 is in a kind of a weird place that Paratroopa might not double back to. He's probably going to check most of the other flute spots first before heading back to that one location.
Yeah, Fred is going to route the northeast here, and then my guess is he'll skip over to the waterfall area, check the 2 ladder spots, and then head towards Death Mountain, as long as he has bombs. And he is going to pick up a potion here, not so much for the health refill as for the ability to get back his sword if he gets hit by a red bubble. But I would assume that he will make his way up to Death Mountain and find level 4, but he will probably be worried by the time he's done up there that he needs to find the power bracelet somewhere. And I do definitely agree with you at this point, Dark, that out of 5 and 7, he's going to dig 5 first for that power bracelet.
So Fred bought a potion. Paratroopa electing to grab a potion from a take any.
Yeah, not a bad decision. He's still 2 hearts away from Magic Sword, and we haven't even seen the Magic Sword yet. So I don't think he has that on his mind at all, especially with 2 hearts only getting him to a 20% chance. So yeah, I don't believe that Magic Sword is even on his mind at all, especially with Red Ring and White Sword. He's continuing to bomb up here in Death Mountain, won't find anything else.
Now we have seen Fred. We have seen one bait block already in this seed. There is a second one still somewhere. Fred did just see this cheap meat shop, but elected not to buy meat. Algernon bringing up a good point. We still have to find level 9 still as well.
Oh yeah, we have not seen that yet, but Fred definitely needs it for level 6, which is 2 screens to the right of where he is right now, but he is going to come across 4, and we know that 4 has the red ring. We'll see if Fred chooses to dig the item out. If I remember correctly, Paratroopa actually came across the item before he came across the Triforce.
Yes, he did. The red ring is in the path, so Fred will definitely come across it. That'll be good for him, because that's going to give him even more combat advantage.
Yeah, he'll be in the same predicament as Paratroopa then, where he will no longer care about the Magic Sword at all. And should be able to make quick work of this dungeon. One thing to note is those red Dark Nuts actually are quite strong. They have either 7 or 8 HP, so not something that you want to continuously have to fight.
It's funny to see a orange Dark Nut that has more HP than a blue one. So you're going to have the slower enemy have more HP than the faster enemy in this case.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's not at all upsetting. Paratroopa electing to up A. He's actually going to go back into level 2. Now, he is able to get the Triforce out of here. However, we both know that the item is indeed bow block, and he has still not purchased his wood arrows yet.
It is the any key, and he does have 7 keys, so that won't matter to him too much once he comes across it. It will be that time sink of going back there, though. Fred's gotta be careful with this manhandler, being a little bit trolled by its body.
Yeah, able to set up to send a silver arrow into its last head. So, is able to progress along. Unfortunately, did not have anything for him, and this may have been the red ring room?
I think it was.
Or maybe
It
not.
was not. Cyclone, one of them is a any road, the other one has not been checked.
Oh, wow.
There's a
red
red
ring
ring.
was actually right at the beginning. So Fred's probably like... Well, saying his Fred obscenities, which is like...
Oh, poop.
Clean obscenities, yes. Oh, poop. So, why didn't I go that way first? But is able to just progress on. And hopefully we'll come across this Triforce soon.
I don't recall where it was in this 4. He did find a bomb hole to the left here.
Yeah, I believe this was on the path, so... Yeah, right there's the compass, and he can just go up. Paratroopa grabbing his Triforce out of level 2, still without the item, but we know that that is not something he'll be able to get at this point. Fred is going to grab his Triforce out of 4, so all he has to do is find level 6. Unfortunately, he's going to be clearing out quite a bit of the overworld before he does that.
Yeah, this is going to let Paratroopa catch up a bit. We do know that Paratroopa does need to get his recorder still.
Yeah, he is going into level 3, so he is going to find it in here. The only thing is that even if he does find the recorder, how long will it take for him to get back over to the forest to check that specific recorder spot? Remember, there is quite a few recorder spots. They are spread out throughout the overworld, so he may choose to check like over at the grave and elsewhere first before heading over towards Vanilla First Quest level 2. Also, until Paratroopa does find the map, he may be kind of exploring blindly here because, well, we know what this level 3 looks like, and it is not fun.
No, this was kind of one of the meaner level 3s that I've seen. Thankfully, the recorder was, I believe, this was the dungeon that had the recorder in the Triforce room. So he'll definitely come across it.
Oh, absolutely. And Fred does take a heart from his Indie Cave, where Paratroopa picked up his potion. He's going to continue to explore the rest of Death Mountain, but unfortunately will come up empty. At that point, he has to really start considering, okay, I may need the power bracelet. What we may see him do is head over towards the rest spot on the coast first, and then maybe wrap around into 5 to check for the power bracelet there.
Yeah, thankfully for Fred, 5 is the next small dungeon, and he has cleaned out 1 through 4. So that would logically be the next place to go before you go back into a dungeon like 7.
Yeah, I would imagine unless we see what the items are in 9, we aren't ever going to fully know what was in level 7. My guess with just how the randomizer usually works is that the wand was in 7 and both boomerangs will be in 9.
Valid point. You know the wand's going to be in one of those 2 dungeons, so it's really just a mix of those 3. And of those 3, at this point, I don't think either one of these guys cares about any of them.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, the wand is nice, especially when you're going to be facing the patches that you will in level 9. But neither of them are too concerned about it. And I imagine if they do come across it in level 9, especially how far behind they think they may be, you won't see them even walk down the stairs for it. You'll just see them leave it. Fred has 2 more spots to check up here on Death Mountain, but he is just gonna save anyway, and because he's out of bombs. And we'll see. He looks like he's going to purchase more bombs and will probably finish out Death Mountain before heading elsewhere. Unfortunately, that will not help him, and he will still have to dig level 5, but does get the bomb drop there from the Lionel, which definitely helps, saves him some rupees. And Para actually headed back over into the forest to check the spot that he missed when he died on that screen where level 7 is in the second quest. He's going to check the coast, and then we may see him actually go back into the forest and search where first quest level 2 is. So he may potentially get into 8 quicker than we once imagined.
Yeah, it's highly possible. I mean, from here he could go up to the desert, but it's going to be in one of those sections for sure.
Unfortunately, he is out of bombs right now. Fred finds another heart container, so that puts him at 10. And now he realizes, well, oh poop, I don't have what I need, so he is going to be whistling somewhere, possibly level 5. Yes, it is. But then he decides, well, forget that. I'm going to go to 7. It looks like he's going to check the recorder spots here in the Dead Woods and just south of the passage to the grave. So just a couple more recorder spots. Then maybe he will do the world wrap around because, well, there is a recorder spot on that world wrap screen. So he may do the world wrap around, check that raft spot, and then possibly dig back into 5.
Yeah, I can't see Fred doing... I can't see Fred doing 7 before 5. Thankfully for Fred, level 6 is very, very fast.
Yeah, level 6 is fast. Level 8 is fast as long as you can find what you need to. And Fred finds level 9. So his exploration actually helped him out. Level 9 being over on that transition screen. He's going to go up to the grave here, find nothing, and then we'll have to determine that he has to go back to either 7 or 5 for the power bracelet.
Yeah, it could be a little bit before Paratrooper finds level 9.
Absolutely. Fred just saves instead of doing the world wrap, so whistles once to the right, which, and then again, I don't know where he's whistling to. We'll
you might
see.
want to check that coast spot.
Well, it doesn't help when you get hit by Fireball before you can catch a whirlwind.
Thanks for the help, Sora. Much appreciated. It looks like he's whistling to 8.
Whistling to level 2. Oh, he's going to check out the whistle spot here. Sort of stuck in between level 1 and the start screen. And Paratroopa going to get his silver arrows.
Yeah, he'll definitely be happy to see those.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has to then figure out that he needs to walk into the wall on the left here. We'll see how long it takes him to figure out. Fred, it did take a little bit of time. Luckily, not having bombs work to his advantage does make it through, and we'll go through this staircase to where he needs to be over on the left side of the dungeon. Fred gonna burn here in the forest as well.
Nice little forest clip there.
Yeah, there are two really interesting ways to clip into that. You can do it from the right, like Fred did there, or you can either clip into the bush to the north or do a side clip into the bushes south of where that burn spot is and burn the bush and just walk into it. So both relatively interesting. Fred now finally going to check this draft spot, and then I think he's explored all the overworld except for the push blocks. Fred really trying to avoid having to dig the item out of one of these dungeons.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the last hammer to the nail.
Yeah, Fred has absolutely, unless we miss something, he has collected everything. And, well, there we see level 8. And Fred making the right choice to go back into level 5 here.
Chat, go ahead and name that ink blot. That's interesting.
Did you ever play Number Muncher on the Mac in school as a kid?
I have that on my cell phone. Yes, I have.
That's what that screams to me.
Very fast PB for Fred there.
And yes, we probably got some more O-poops from Fred, while Paratroopa getting his Triforce out of 8. He's actually going to have to go back into 5 himself to get the Triforce, so Fred now has to find the right power bracelet location. Paratroopa needs to get the Triforce out of 5 and then find the right recorder location for level 9. So folks, we have a race.
Yeah, we know that power bracelet bot is all the way up in Death Mountain, so it could be quite a little bit before Fred. He's wrapping around, so it might not be that long.
Yeah, he's going to check this power bracelet spot, which is normally level 4 in second quest. And then my guess is he will make the play towards Death Mountain, that having 2 power bracelet spots in it. And it would be the natural way going over towards the Desert PB as well. He's just going to whistle to 4, though, I believe, to get there a little faster.
This is going to come down to the Great Equalizer, as some like to call it.
Absolutely. And Fred actually going over to check the Desert power bracelet spot first. We'll see if he then makes the play for Start or Death Mountain. We know the right place, Death Mountain. We'll see how long it takes Fred to figure that out.
Para might have a little bit of advantage getting into level 9. He still needs to find it. And Fred getting a 10-heart magical sword.
Wow, what a great advantage for Fred. Now, Para may believe that level 9 is power bracelet block, so he may choose to check there first, but he is still a heart short, so he is not actually going to be able to grab it. So Fred having a huge advantage there, the fact that that was only 10 hearts, he will have a great combat advantage going into level 9. But he is going to be doing a little bit more exploration before he finally gets up to level 6. This is the last power bracelet spot to check around here, so my guess is after here he does whistle to 4.
Yep, here comes the whistle, and Fred is on his way up to Death Mountain. Or not.
Is he checking? He is. No, he is making the play. I don't know why he wouldn't whistle up to 4. Maybe he forgot where it was or something like that. But regardless, he is just making the play for the correct power bracelet location. As we said, luckily, everything that you absolutely need is there early in level 6. So he will just do a quick dive. He will make a beeline for the Triforce as well, because he knows the 4 items that remain for him, all of them are not needed.
And thankfully he will clear pretty much every room that he comes across, so he will get all the hints he needs. Now, hopefully he takes the right path, though. That'd be the only thing, is if he takes the wrong turn and ends up digging this monster.
Well, I think the path that he's even on right now, it may lead him right across the Triforce. The only thing is about, I think that he actually needs to possibly bomb left there. but he does get the map here, and he should be able to find Triforce without too much problem. Especially since he's going to get the compass here.
Alright, so Fred has all the knowledge. He knows where 9 is. He's about to get his last Triforce. Krim, when he gets to 9, what's he going to be looking for?
Well, Fred will be looking for one thing and listening for another. The first thing that he's going to be listening for is a roar. If he hears a roar outside of a room with a Patra in it, well, he knows that Ganon is going to be in one of the 4 adjacent rooms as he grabs his last Triforce here. It will be either north, east, south, or west, and he will then need to go in and slay the beast. I shouldn't say Ganon, it is the beast, in order to find the kidnapped. Now, if he comes across a room that has a shutter door and clears out all the enemies and that shutter door does not open, he knows that the kidnap awaits behind it. Once defeating the beast, that shutter door will open automatically upon entering the room, and he will be able to rescue it. The reason I say the beast and the kidnapped is Fred's playing as a Gibdo. So he's trying to bring Chaos back to Hyrule. He is going to rescue Ganon, and will do that by defeating Zelda. And look at this, Fred going into level 9, Paratroopa going to find level 9 within a few screens. So I would say maybe a 30-second difference between entrances in level 9.
Yeah, this is going to come down. This is going to be one of those matches that comes down to the absolute wire, guys.
And a quick quick Zelda for Fred. Go north and just bomb, and we have pig sighting. Only 4 hits from Fred on Zelda, and we have a grill.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to call that bacon or not, but we have dead Zelda.
So now Fred will be looking for that shutter door that opens. As Paratroopa makes his way into level 9, he will also find the pig very, very quickly. If he heads north here, he'll hear the roar. Cannot walk through, so we'll have to bomb.
So now just a matter of who will find the shutter door first. It's not this one. We are looking for a single shutter door.
0 for 2. Now, Paratroopa will have to do a little bit more combat with Ganon. It will take him 8 swings of the white sword.
That'll be one thing to keep in mind with Fred is he will have the combat advantage because he does have that magical sword. But if you get hit by red bubble, it doesn't matter. Your sword's gone.
Absolutely, and definitely with these enemies in here, that is definitely an advantage. And there is the door that opens. Fred is going to win this. Makes his way through the blue bubbles. There is Ganon. And Fred will finish with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 3 seconds.
Let's get some GGs in chat for Fred Coughlin, please. And also for Paratroopa. This was a heck of a race. Very, very close.
Absolutely. Para swinging around the moat room, trying to find Ganon. Now, has to be very careful with where he positions himself, because if he positions himself in front of that bomb wall and Ganon happens to hit him back, the physics of the bomb wall can actually suck him through, and I believe it may have happened once already, and that will actually cause the whole fight to reset. But Para does skewer the pig. We do have bacon on Para's side, so now it is just a matter of finding the path to Zelda. And I believe Zelda is actually 1 room north of there, just you can't get through to it from that room.
Yeah, that was a lightning fast 9 for Fred there. And we do have Fred Coughlin in chat with us. GG, Fred. Well played, my friend.
Thank you.
So talk us through the seed. It was a doozy.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my head around most of it. I mean, you know, at least there was an early sword. The main pain ended up being there towards the end, trying to find level 6, and then all of a sudden I was counting my spots saying, okay, I think this is... I've hit all the second quest spots. I think it has to be power bracelet blocked, and well, then we found out it was one of the last spots for me to check too. So I don't really. There was only like 1 or 2 other spots left on the board, but you know, ended up being a seed where I found 3 semi-early, got the recorder there, and I tend to love playing aggressively when I have the recorder, and it ended up paying off mostly because, found the silvers in 8, found the bow laying out there, found the ladder eventually laying out there, and then just when I realized, oh shoot, I'm kind of blocked now, at least I could whistle back to a dungeon and try to find it, but oof.
Yeah, it was very close. Paratroopa entered 9 about 15 seconds or so behind you. That's how close
I
this
figured it
was.
was going to be really close. Paratroopa is an amazing player, and so, there wasn't going to be anything less than a close race there, so.
Yeah, there were a few things that definitely worked to your advantage while Paratroopa trolls himself trying to burn the boomerang and gets bumped into it by Key, so...
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, Para had the power bracelet a lot earlier than you, so he actually found level 6 when he was up there with level 4. So each of you had a decisive advantage, you having the recorder, him having the power bracelet. But you not having the power bracelet and searching the entire overworld before diving back into a dungeon actually helped you out because you knew exactly where to go for level 9. And then just checking all the power bracelet spots for level 6, you come across the magic sword as well. So really quite interesting in general how that seed played out.
Yeah, I mean, I got really lucky about that magical sword being a nice 10 parts there. I mean, with the white sword, I think I probably would have been okay, but yeah, that was a really nice bonus find there. I have to admit that.
And Paratroopa finding Zelda as well, so he is going to finish official SRL time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 38 seconds. Get your GGs out, everyone. Well played match by both of these players.
So, Fred, you are now 4-0. Any thoughts on going to the next round?
Oh, absolutely terrified. Thurwolf is I believe I've got Thurwolf next, and Thurwolf is an incredibly talented, good player. He and I actually are pretty darn even, it looks like, from the stats, but he's got a slight edge on me, 17 to 14 lifetime, so it's going to be a really close race. It's going to just have to come down, I'm hoping, luck of the draw on how things are going to go. Just going to have to hope I get some lucky breaks, but, just got to be aggressive, I guess. Play the way I am and hope that things work out.
Yeah, that's the nature of Randomizer, my friend. Any given Tuesday, anything can happen, for sure. And with that, we do have Paratrooper in chat with us now as well. GG, Para, well played, my friend.
GG, very good race.
Absolutely. Very entertaining for us to call. You and Fred definitely had different routes, but really came extremely close there at the end. Just a little bit behind. A lot of tough deaths over in the Northeast. What was your overall opinion of the seed, though?
Fred, we need to talk. You won fair and square. Very good race, my friend. We need to talk about your shapes algorithm. So there's a flag in your code, I'm sure it's there, that says create quadruple segmented dungeons equals yes. Can you just go in and just delete that line? Just remove that from the code. Remove that part of the code that creates quadruple segmented dungeons. Thanks.
See, I'm not sure if I actually had intended for it to allow that many. I think that the piece that breaks down a few rooms that way, you can get, so that way there are holes, so that way there's enough spots for item rooms. I think that might break up a room more than I expected, but I definitely have never planned, for example, for the quintuple segments we've seen in the past and the quadruples. I definitely don't think I intended that to happen very often, so I'm sorry.
It's okay, I forgive you. It's
Woo!
Yeah, the seed was otherwise pretty standard-ish for Elite 8. Level 5 was where I kind of knew I'd probably lost the race. I died too many times there, and I just had a feeling that I wouldn't recover. When I saw silvers in 8, I knew I wouldn't recover, although I was much closer than I thought. So there's that.
Yeah, I didn't get the power bracelet out of 5 until after I had cleared everything on the overworld that I could.
Yeah, that was my one saving grace, was that I did find the power bracelet when I was digging in 5, and then that got me to 6, which didn't get me a good item, but I got out of there quickly and had that spot cleared away. Which is like one of the most difficult spots in the overworld to get to, so I was like, maybe. Then I found the red ring in 4, and that was kind of my savior, because I died a lot in this seed. My combat was just not good enough.
Barry, it was a much closer than you thought it was. You guys entered 9 with an about 15-second difference.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm glad it was close at least. I can't complain too much. I was playing on house money here. TA should have beaten me last round, but things happen, and I advanced, and I didn't really feel much pressure in this race, and I thought maybe I wouldn't, but it was close. That's good.
Absolutely, and you're not done yet. You do jump down to the elimination bracket portion, where you're eventually going to fight, go up against either Zev Gedney, Yunus, or Dragon Dark. So a lot of potential for another good matchup there.
Not much of a consolation prize.
Absolutely not. Can definitely keep up on these Elite 8 flags, though, because your next match will include them as well.
So, funny story, last time I was in the Zelda 1 tournament 3 years ago. 3 years ago? 2 years ago? I'm not sure. I was set to face Yunus in round 3, but he was upset by none other than Zed Gedney. So, we could see a repeat of history. It's possible. It's possible that I could dodge Yunus again because Zed Gedney upsets him. That's something that could happen. Or I could also face Dragon Dark in the loser's bracket, which also happened to me, and unfortunately I lost to him, so that's not history I want to see repeat either. But, just some interesting little parallels there.
Hey, you're incredibly talented from what we've been seeing here. This has been a really good, you've had a great run here in the tourney so far, and, there's definitely a great chance of you advancing, I think, further on in the bracket, and maybe we'll even meet again there at the end.
We'll see. I really like the Elite 8 flags. They're probably my favorite set of flags. I just really enjoy the different challenges that it brings. And I enjoy the Second Quest overworld. I enjoy having to deal with Second Quest enemies, I think are fun. I just like all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to our next, or not our next match, but my next match.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Now just a little bit of a programming note of what's coming on. On Speed Gaming at midnight, we have a trio of different races coming up. We have Super Metroid coming up on Speed Gaming, Ori and the Blind Force on Speed Gaming 2, and a Zelda 1 Vanilla. Our brethren over at the Zelda 1 Vanilla Randomizer having a race on Speed Gaming 3. In terms of Zelda 1 Randomizer, we do have a match coming up tomorrow on, I believe it's going to be Random Mania, between Breasticle and Kiss My Afro Card, so definitely check that out at 7:30. And yeah, I believe that is it. We do have one more match between Yunus and Dragon Dark as well on Monday at 2. So a lot of good stuff going on. Definitely give Speed Gaming and Randomania a follow if you want to see more of these randomizer races. Also, make sure you give our runners a follow, both fcoughlin and Paratroopa1, as well as my co-commentator Darkfalls 1983 and our tracker behind the scenes Cyclone GU. Definitely give every one of them a follow. All worth it.
And absolutely, please follow my co-commentator partner today, who did a fantastic job. Crimson Avix definitely deserves it as well.
Fred, Para, any more thoughts before we let everyone get out of here?
Nothing. Best of luck.
What am I supposed to say? Best of luck. Good luck on your Final Four match against Thurwolf. He's really good.
Thank you. Yes, it's going to be quite the challenge. So hopefully it'll be a good one. Hopefully we'll put on a show like we did here tonight. So.
Oh yes, and as RC Drone said, also on Randomania right now we have the rescheduled match between Saber and Ryko Rider, so you can also go check that out. Both runners really good over there as well, so definitely a lot going on. Dark, anything else?
I am it. I'm good, my friend. Send us on out.
All right. So once again, on behalf of our runners, fcoughlin and Paratroopa1, on behalf of my co-commentator Darkfalls1983, our tracker Cyclone GU, and the family of networks here at Speed Gaming, including none other than Feasel. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you all later.
Have a great night, everyone. See you on the next show.